How's the energy? It is amazing to see all of you here. And there are 1,000+ developers around. I don't know if I should call this a room or a hall or a stadium. There are many more outside, and there are many more watching live. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Today is all about you. You are the developers. You are the builders. You are the ones who are building this country. You are the ones who are moving this country forward. And we are so thrilled to have all of you. I'm a coder at heart. I started coding late 90s. I remember the first language I picked up was C and then C++. I don't know if anybody codes in. I remember the book was called Letter C. People remember it? Okay. I was thinking I'm in a different generation. But I remember the first program I wrote. It was a stupid game I made. But that day my worldview changed. I felt I can build something, right? And all of you build every day. So we're so glad to have all of you here. And by the way, looking at the days of letter C and letter C++, look at where we've come with AI. If you look at the picture behind me, it's an absolutely outstanding view of Bangalore, or Bengaluru as we know it, and in the future that's coming our way. This is made by Copilot. I asked it to build it last night. I said I should welcome you in Bengaluru style, but we've got a really exciting lineup for you today, folks. I'll bring in Satya on the stage in a few minutes, and I know you're all waiting for him. Yes, Satya is going to be here in a few minutes, and he's going to talk about how AI is going to shape not just our lives and our organizations, but our societies and our country. And I'm really looking forward to that. And after that, I have a few of my favorite people coming on stage. Rajiv Kumar, who runs IDC, the Microsoft IDC in India. Charumati Srinivasan, who runs all of our cloud and AI capabilities in India. And Sandeep Allur, who runs the Microsoft Technology Center in India. They're going to come and have a real conversation around how AI is going to change what you do every day. How AI is going to change engineering development every day. With that, by the way, I also want to welcome a set of people who are not in the room. Can we roll the video, please? And I said, I'm amazed to see 100,000 people around in the room today. But we've got 2 million professional student developers across India who are engaged with Microsoft and everything that we're doing in AI. And today, I'm so proud to tell you that 100,000 developers from across the country, from 100 Microsoft developer communities, from 100 cities are watching this live today. So the 300s, 100,000, 100 cities, 100 developer communities. Welcome to all of them. Welcome to all the people who are live streaming and joining us. We're so glad to have you. You're the ones who make India the AI powerhouse that it is. So with that, let's get going. By the way, I have a confession to make. I'm relatively new at Microsoft. I'm 5 months in, so I'm still trying to find my groove, learn every day. So I needed help to pull this event together. And I went to my colleagues for help, but I also went to Copilot for help. And I asked Copilot, what should be most interesting for developers who are coming in to listen to Microsoft and what's happening in AI? What are the topics that will be top of the mind for them? It gave me a list of 4 or 5 really interesting ideas. But the 3 that I picked up that I will talk about today, number 1, what makes India unstoppable? What's really going on in India today? What's the shift that we're seeing every day around us? Number 2, what makes AI unstoppable? What's really shifting? And Satya will go really deep in this as well. And then finally, the most important part, what can make each one of you in this room and the 100,000 people who are logging in unstoppable together, right? So that's what I'll attempt to do. Let's get going with India. My favorite quote on India is by a guy called Ruchir Sharma, who said, India is a country that consistently disappoints both the pessimist and the optimist. India is a country that consistently disappoints both the pessimist and the optimist. But that is changing now. We're only disappointing the pessimists. And I'll show you why. And there are lots of statistics on this page. I'm not going to go through all of them. You know these numbers. Everybody in India knows these numbers. But I'll just pick three of them quickly for you. Number 1, we know India's got 100,000 startups. We're the 3rd largest startup ecosystem in the world. But do you know India is producing 100 new startups every day? 100 new startups are coming up around you, a lot of them in Bengaluru and Hyderabad and different cities. But 100 new startups, which is more than any other country in the world. And that's an outstanding number. Every 6th, by the way, that's worth a clap for sure. Thank you. I'll give you another statistic which is worth a clap, and I'm kind of edging for claps now. But every 6th AI developer in the world today, every 6th AI developer, AI researcher is coming from our nation. Every 6th developer. It is just outstanding to see what you all are building. And finally, the last statistic that I'll give you, which is on the bottom of this chart, 25% of the incremental global workforce, 25% of the incremental global workforce over the next decade will come from India. Now, if that's not impact on the world, I don't know what it is, right? So it's incredible. But more than these numbers, there's something else that's shifting in India today. Indians are dreaming big. All of you are dreaming big like never before. And more than just dreaming big, we're all chasing our dreams like our lives depend on it. Like our lives depend on it. And I think that is the big shift that's happening. And this will lead this generation, which is all of you, this generation of Indians, to redefine everything. Redefine everything from work to success to morality to technology. And I think that's the shift that's happening in India, which the world is now starting to notice. India matters to all of us, and I can say it for a fact. I can look at your eyes and your faces. India matters to all of us, but we now want to matter for India. We now want to matter for India, and I think that's the unlock that this country needs, and it's coming. Okay, so enough about India. Let's quickly talk about AI. And what you see on this chart is a set of customers in India. You know all of these logos. We work with them every day. They're all building on Microsoft. They're building AI on Microsoft. And our purpose in India, as Microsoft India, is to be the most trusted, the most innovative AI partner for India. AI for everyone. That's why we get out of beds every day. That's what we're trying to do every day. And we've moved from talking about AI to applying AI at scale. And customers always vote with their feet. We all know this. And if you look at this chart, there's a march going on towards Microsoft when it comes to AI. And by the way, these are not just logos. There are real stories behind them. And we've got lots of material outside. At some point, when you're walking out, you should look at this. But there are lots of showcases and use cases that we're pulling together of real impact. Let me come to the final part of the conversation. India is becoming unstoppable. AI is getting better and delivering real impact every day. How can all of you become unstoppable? And I'll give you 3 simple tips. I'll go to first principles. I'll keep it very simple. The first, and these are my 3 calls to action, learn AI. And this is my cute take on AI IQ. I call it AIQ. Pardon me for that. But I genuinely believe that the opposite of knowledge on AI today is not ignorance. It's not ignorance. It's the illusion of knowledge. Sometimes I feel I'm trying to figure this out and I'm there. I'm not there by a mile. We all have to learn. And if you're not learning every day, and by the way, that's something you should teach us. You guys learn every day. But if you're not learning about AI every day, you are falling behind. Don't do that. Learn every day. Number 2, unlock productivity. Start using copilots. And I showed you the picture. I showed you Copilot help me pull this agenda together. And my own personal productivity, my email productivity has gone up by 50%. 2/3 of my emails I don't write anymore. A lot of my meetings get transcribed and the action and the summaries come together beautifully. It drives a ton of effectiveness. In the US, we're seeing 30 minutes of time saved per user per day. Imagine if all of you get 30 minutes of time back every day to things that really matter to you. Don't miss the opportunity. And by the way, AI, as I said, right, I started by saying learning. You have to learn, but learning is only abstract unless you really put this into practice. And finally, drive AI capabilities in the organizations you work with. Don't just make sure that people around you, the ecosystem, the organization, they're not just dipping their toes, but they're actually using AI. So I'll keep it simple. Learn it, use it, deploy it. Learn it, use it, deploy it, and that's how we get going. And then, of course, we need to work on data and governance to bring all of this together. Let me wrap this up, and I'm going to leave you with 3 messages quickly, folks. India is not just incredible, it's also credible now. It's the most exciting market in the world today, and it's a privilege to be in India today as Indians building for India. AI is truly becoming unstoppable. It's real now. The impact is real. And finally, all of you can be unstoppable if you learn it every day, if you use it with copilots, unlock productivity, and get started in your organizations and move everybody around you to get going with momentum. With that, I'm going to quote the man I'm going to bring on the stage. He said, "Our industry does not respect tradition. It respects innovation. It only respects innovation. And there couldn't be a better time in India today to innovate with AI. And with that, it's truly a privilege for me to invite on stage Satya Nadella, Chairman and CEO of Microsoft." Oops, sorry, Satya, I didn't see you. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Puneet. It's wonderful. It's wonderful always to be back in India, and it's obviously wonderful to be in a room full of developers. I always remind myself that Microsoft, at the end of the day, is a developer company. We got started building tools, and here we are, close to 50 years since our founding, as excited about building tools and platforms for developers. Having lived through my 32 years at Microsoft, 4 major platform shifts, PC, client, server, web, internet, mobile cloud, and now the 4th one being AI. One of the things as developers I think is super important for us is to be very grounded in what really changed, what's new. What is this platform shift about and dimensionalizing it? I think even last year when I was here, we were all excited about ChatGPT had just come out, and we had lots of fun about sort of what all it could do. And in a year's time, things have progressed. And I think even we have a better understanding of what are the 2 dimensions of this platform shift that I think all of us as developers have to fundamentally sort of really deeply understand and then take advantage of. If you take the 70 years or so of computing history, one of the dreams has always been, can we create computers that understand us versus us understanding computers, right? If you again go back, right, one of the things, even today, when you go back and read Vannevar Bush's paper, As We May Think, or read any paper by Engelbart, that was it. They were really trying to get computers to understand us versus us trying to understand computers. And I think we finally may be there. With this breakthrough of natural language, or models that understand natural language, computers that can hold a conversation, because after all, a conversational interface is ultimately the easiest, most natural user interface. The fact that it can be multimodal, text, images, video, in and out. The fact that it can be arbitrary length conversations, the fact that you can have multiple domain conversations, right? I can talk about cricket and I can talk about baseball and it won't get confused. All of that, I think, does allow us to actually have a very different approach to user experience. So that's, I think, the first one. Then the second thing is, one of the fundamental things we as developers do is digitize, right? We digitize people, places, and things, right? We put it into data models, and then we query it, we reason about it. That's essential. Like, all of computing is fundamentally getting up in the morning and digitizing, and then trying to make, really build insights and analytical power and predictive power from that data. Now we have a new tool in our arsenal. We have this new reasoning engine. Think of it as a neural reasoning engine, right, which can find patterns, give us that predictive power, right? When you think about a continuation, a summarization, all of these are new things that allow us to make sense of all of the data being digitized. So I feel that as developers, for us to really understand the power of these 2 platform shifts, or these 2 capabilities that are part of this platform shift, I think is perhaps the most important thing. And that's why and all this is obviously at the end of the day only going to be worth it if we can take this and as input that drives economic growth in India, right? To me, that's what grounds us even as a company, to be able to say, how can this AI contribute to economic growth in the United States? There's some fantastic statistics that something like 10% of what is going to be India's GDP growth can come from the output, quite frankly, of all of you in the room. And so that, I think, is what's at stake. And that's what grounds us in our mission to empower every person and every organization in India to be able to achieve more and really take advantage of this platform shift. That means empowering developers in India to be able to build the products and services and scenarios, not only for India, but for the world. And that's what's exciting. For that reason, what we've done is basically taken this platform shift and etched it into the length and breadth of every layer of Microsoft's stack. People ask me, hey, what's the AI product? I'd say everything. What we are doing, whether it's in the infrastructure, to the data layer, to the tools, every part of what we have done as a company now thinks about AI as first class. It's not a bolt-on from first principles. How do we build? Like, in fact, having sort of worked in our data center business for now close to 15 years, I myself cannot recognize even the core system architecture of what's powering these clouds today is so different than even the thing that I started with maybe 15 years ago. And so it's fantastic to see how, from a first principles basis, we are able to change every layer of the stack. Now, the opportunities ultimately, when I had a chance to even see a lot of showcase applications that are being built, you can change employee experience. You can change the customer engagement. You can change every business process application across every industry. And most importantly, the curve of innovation in any organization can fundamentally be bent. And I think that that's I would call it the transformational opportunity that is really in front of us. And that's what leads to the 3 imperatives for all of us that I wanted to talk about. The first one is all about being able to use these co-pilots, right? Ultimately, the idea is to be able to use a co-pilot to really help us empower ourselves to be able to do more. Now, I love the design decision we made back in the day to say, let's put human agency and humans in the loop with powerful AI so that we can achieve more, right? That's as much of a design decision. And that pattern, I think, has really picked up. In fact, the first time I fell in love with this was when I saw, I think, GPT-3. It was called something else. We had an internal code name for it. It was actually a derivative of GPT-3 in the context of GitHub. And when I first saw GitHub Copilot is when I sort of felt like, wow, the age of these LLMs has really come a long way. And the fact that we didn't even train it, quite frankly, on code, and it sort of learned coding, was the fact that it had scaling effects working and emergent capability. And that's when I felt if you put that into a right design metaphor, we can achieve some real big breakthroughs. And that was the genesis of GitHub Copilot. And of course, now we have the Microsoft Copilot and Copilots by business process for sales and service and for security and what have you. And really, this age of Copilots has taken off. In fact, we're going to launch a new ad as part of Super Bowl this Sunday in the United States. So we thought we'll just roll it out for you to just take a look at what the age of Copilot could mean. Go ahead and roll it.
Good morning.
Watch me.
Just watch me now. Just watch me now. I got something for you, a little more for you. You won't believe your eyes. Just watch me now. I got something for you, a little more for you. You won't believe your eyes. Just watch me now. Just watch me now.
It's very exciting. I remember when I first saw ChatGPT, it was sort of like, seeing Mosaic for the first time in '93. And similarly, I think when I look at this Copilot, you can see all of these software categories that we know of: operating systems, browsers, productivity software, what have you, IDEs. All of them can collapse into this one user interface, which is essentially a Copilot that can be invoked by your intent. And really not just give you the answers, but to create, to be able to take action. So we're at the beginning of a very, very exciting Cambrian explosion when it comes to software innovation, and also a grand collapse of a lot of the software categories today. And so a tremendous opportunity. And you see the productivity stats, by the way. Already, I think Puneet was talking about his own personal use of productivity and how much time it saves. It's knowledge turns. Andy Grove used to talk a lot about this thing called knowledge turns inside organizations. Everything gets faster. What's the power of AI? It's kind of like lean brought to knowledge work. I feel that anything that you do, you can do it so much faster. Can it be coding? Can it be responding to an email, making sense in a meeting? Things that I think we spend a lot of time on. If only you got faster, what does it mean to our organizational output? So it's an exciting time for all of this. And lots of customers right here for all these co-pilots in India. It's tremendous to see. Of course, this being a developer conference, the thing that we want to talk most about is GitHub Copilot. It's been revolutionary. Even nowadays, I can go into my weekends and actually start a dev project and complete it. And especially the combination of code spaces and GitHub Copilot has been a game changer. Setting up environments used to be such a pain, and now it's just such a joy because somebody else does it for you. But overall, I think that the productivity of developers is something that we care deeply about. And in fact, today, the customers that we have, some of the biggest startups, whether it's Swiggy or Misho, are using it. In fact, I had a chance to meet with the Open Healthcare Network folks. That's a community that was born on GitHub. It's fantastic to see what they're doing, right? So they built an open source EMR system. They even built an open source tele EMR system. It's just superb, and it sort of obviously composes with the rest of what's happening in India, which is so unique around these digital public goods, and the fact that they're now available in 200-plus hospitals across, 9 states in India, and it all was a pandemic project that's just taken on a life of its own. But the cool thing was they all use GitHub Copilot. Everybody who is part of the open source community building this is using GitHub Copilot, and it's helping them, by the way, do the code, definitely do the testing, and then most importantly, super helpful with docs. And that's what's really making the community sort of that much more productive, and it's fantastic to see that. HCL, for example, is using GitHub Copilot, but they're also integrating the workflows from between the developer workflows and the Microsoft 365 Copilot. So there's lots and lots of innovation, I think, that's happening around Copilots, and it's exciting to see. India is a place where, what the momentum around developers and development is unbelievable. Today, as we speak, India is number 2, only next to the United States in terms of the total number of developers on GitHub, and it's going to cross in 2028, I believe, or 2027. It's going to cross, so it's going to be the place where the most number of developers are going to be in. Second, even the AI projects. Right? I mentioned this even the last time I was here. I was pretty stunned when I saw the stat. Number of Gen AI projects on GitHub with Indian contributors is, again, next to the United States. So it's just awesome to see the human capital of this country really embrace this new platform and effectively lead the new platform shift. And it's wonderful to see that. So congratulations to all of you all. And to sort of really talk about that, right, which is what does it mean to have these tools not just be things that you use that were built in the West, but tools that work for all of you and really give, I would say, that Indian flavor to it. So one of the things that I'm very excited about is some of the Indic language and GitHub Copilot coming together. And to show you all of that and more, I wanted to invite Karan up on stage from our GitHub team to do a quick demo of GitHub. Karan?
Hello, everyone. Really nice to see such a large audience eager to know about GitHub Copilot and what it can do for you. All right, so today I'm going to show you 3 things GitHub Copilot can do for you. Explain code that's already been written, create code you need to write, and also collaborate with others when creating pull requests. So let's get started. All right, so here I have a website I'm building with TypeScript using GitHub Copilot, and I want to add some sign-up functionality to this. So let's first add a sign-up button. I'll write a comment for it, and GitHub Copilot writes the code for me, working with me along the way. So, all right, there it is. Now, I want to make sure my customers are protected with secure passwords, and I need some guidance on that. So my colleague gave me a simple password validation code to start with, but it's a regular expression and hard to read. With GitHub Copilot, it truly feels like I'm working with a pair programmer. And in this case, I can use the /explain command with GitHub Copilot Chat to help explain code that I'm unfamiliar with, even if it's a regular expression. And here's the amazing part. I can even do this in Hindi by asking it an equivalent of what does this regex do. So I can ask it, ye regex kya karta hai? Fantastic, right? So you see how GitHub Copilot picks up its cues on how I would like the answer based on how I ask the question. Now, GitHub Copilot Chat can also be invoked inline, so it can work with the code in place. So to get to it, just hit Control or Command I. Now, I'll ask Copilot to help me write the entire sign-up page. And this time, I'm going to again ask it in Hindi. But this time, I'm going to notch it up further and ask it in the Devanagari script, all right? So I'm going to ask it, एक English sign-up page बनाए जो email, password और password confirmation मांगता है. And amazing. So you can see that GitHub Copilot didn't just understand what I wanted in Hindi, it's actually written the entire code for me. So I'm going to accept that change, and like a good programmer, I'm going to add one other small thing to make this work, but again using GitHub Copilot. So I'm going to go back and then see, okay, so I can keep iterating on this website by highlighting code and asking Copilot for a change. So this time, I'll ask it to style the form, and I'll also ask it to solve the second hardest problem in software development, centering a div. So, but this time, I'm going to write it in Telugu script, all right? So I'm going to ask it, Tailwind CSS ni upyoginchi dini style cheyandi, and so on. I'm going to be gentle and then ask it, and let's see, nice. So it gives me, it styles me, and that looks good, so I'm going to accept that change, go back, and yes. All right, so let's get a pull request created and submitted to my team for review. But like me, GitHub Copilot is not just in the editor, it's also with me on github.com. So GitHub Copilot can help generate a description of the changes in the pull request, and it doesn't just list the changes, it also gives you useful, meaningful description of what the change actually does. And the best part is that it also gives you deep links to the lines of code that has changed. That's it. I've shown you how your patient, multilingual pair programmer can help you explain code, create code, and collaborate with others so you can build more faster. Thank you.
I tell you, regular expressions in any language are hard. I mean, now we have /explain. I tell you, nightmares. You know, it's so fantastic to see the innovation in GitHub Copilot. I think the thing that he showed in the last, was just awesome, right? To me, what I think where we're going, in fact, at GitHub Universe, we showed the last demo. I think that's the future, where we don't start just with the Copilot, but we start with a PR. In fact, we start with an issue. And then it generates the right PRs for everyone else to be able to then use Copilot to complete the task. And I think that's sort of the agentic future that we can look forward to. It's going to be a tremendous world. Look, I think the next imperative, of course, is let's say we have the best tools, right? Here we are as software developers, we have the best tools. Then it's time to change the world. That is, build your own AI applications. So that's the real I would say the exciting part of this platform shift. Now, to do that, one of the things we are doing is taking effectively the stack we have used underneath GitHub Copilot, Microsoft 365 Copilot, underneath ChatGPT, and making it available to all of you, right? Every layer of it, starting right at the infrastructure. We're building out the data center footprint. As I said, what is a data center region or an Azure region today, especially with what's happening with sort of the AI accelerators, is unlike anything I've seen. Everything from the power draw to the HVAC system to the liquid cooling is going to really change the landscape. And the other exciting thing for us is to sort of really have that sort of spread around the world. In India, we now have 4 regions, or we have 3 regions forthcoming, and we'll keep expanding so that you have the compute resources you need. We're also building the best AI infrastructure, so these AI accelerators for training large models. One of the things is these are very interesting workloads, right? Having sort of lived through the big data age, and I thought, I understood data parallelism. But these are synchronous workloads that really are low latency. And so therefore, thinking about the memory hierarchy very differently, thinking about, obviously, the silicon very differently, and that's what we're building for large training and inference and small batch training. So we have, by the way, there's fantastic innovation happening all the way from silicon up, right? So this is a great time to be in that combination of a hardware, software engineer, where you're thinking about system architecture. The other thing that's exciting, by the way, is Moore's Law is fully working. Moore's Law is absolutely working when it comes to AI accelerators. So that's another area where I think anything that's sort of super expensive today, you can be assured that the cogs are going to come down. So one of the things that I tell our developers at Microsoft is be super ambitious today about what you can build with the best models, knowing that in 18 months' time, it's going to be 1/10, 1/100th the cost of what it is today. And that's a very empowering thing. There's no other input in the world that has that type of price characteristics. So infrastructure is one, AI infrastructure. Then, of course, the models themselves, right? These are new platforms. We have the best large models with all of the GPT varieties, GPT, GPT-V, GPT-4 Turbo, all of that's available to you. We have all the open source models. In fact, whether it's Mistral, whether it's Llama, we want to make sure that the best open source models are available. We also have a model catalog with everything from the Hugging Face on. So exciting time to be able to access all these models. The other thing that I'm very, very pleased to see is that this is not the last of model architecture breakthroughs. There is real new breakthroughs even happening in model architectures. And to me, to see what's happening with Phi, or small language models, it's one of the most leading models for when it comes to small language models that Microsoft built. And it's a different approach to even training, right? So instead of thinking of training on all tokens, what if we could train on these reasoning tokens, right? The original paper was Attention is All You Need, which was the transformer paper, and the paper we wrote was Textbooks is All You Need. And it's sort of intuitive, right? So when you want to learn something new, you don't go and say, let me read everything about it, I'll read the textbook. And so the idea is if that applies cognitively to us, it should apply even to AI training. And so we'll see how it is, how it'll progress, but I'm very, very bullish based on the results we have seen today. And so we have a very, very aggressive roadmap to keep advancing. Phi, you can run Phi obviously in the cloud, you can run it on your phone or a PC, and so you'll see a lot of great stuff happening in the SLM space as well. And I'm excited to see sort of new innovative startups right here in India. In fact, I had a chance to meet with the founders, Pratyush and Vivek from Saravam AI, and of course, Pratyush worked at MSR in India before, and we're excited to support them building out their LLM, which is trained on all the Indic languages. In fact, the demo they showed me is tremendous. It's kind of like taking that voice mode that you have today in ChatGPT and making it available effectively for any application developer to be able to have as the front end for their application in India with all of the Indic languages is fantastic to see. And they have unbelievable scenarios that they're building out. So let's just roll the video to give you a flavor for what they're up to.
Running any business is hard, but it's impossible if you don't know what your customers want. What if you could talk to your customers easily?
Hello.
Go deeper.
मतलब वैरायटी थोड़ी कम है.
Take feedback.
सापाड़ा पोटा नल्ला रखा.
In their own language.
आपके अकाउंट में कुछ सस्पिशियस एक्टिविटी पाई गई. क्या मैं आपसे कुछ सवाल पूछ सकता हूँ?
With AI, you can understand thousands of such conversations in mere minutes. Read between the lines and understand what people are truly thinking. Insights that can change what you build and how you build it.
It's awesome. It's exciting to see. I mean, you can imagine, right? So you can take something like GPT-4, you can daisy chain it with Saravam, and then create these types of applications, which can have fantastic impact in any Indian language and the mix of Indian languages. The other area of model development that I'm very excited about is not just about human text or human modalities, but also trying to learn the language of nature. Because that's another ultimate dream, right? So if you're going to really tackle, say, one of the hard challenges in front of us, which is the energy transition, you have to take something like 250 years of development of, say, chemistry and compress it into 25 years. And that means you got to really take what we've done with, let's say, HPCs and so on, with simulation, and accelerate it. And an AI can absolutely play a massive, massive role. In fact, I think about this, right? If you sort of thought about HPCs as simulation layer, and in fact, quantum ultimately will be the accelerant to that simulation layer, think of the AI layer as the emulation layer of that simulation, right? So think of it as reducing the search space, helping us, let's say, find a de novo molecule for material science. And one of the things that we're very excited about is, say, something like MatterGen, which is a new model that we have, which we used in order to develop some new materials. In fact, we round-tripped this. We worked with one of the national labs in the United States, came up with a set of molecules, fabricated a new battery, which reduced the lithium content by 70%. All right, so it's absolutely possible for the next startup in India that goes after batteries for, let's say, EVs or what have you, to come up with new material science, essentially, to change what the assumptions are. And I think that if you think about the hierarchy, starting from cells to materials, all the way to biology being the hardest, we can start making real breakthroughs with some of the same models that we have used for language. Of course, we will also have different model architectures. One of the other architectures is, why should we not give some inductive bias to these models? So, for example, a graph former has a graph that has knowledge and a transformer bolted on. And so that's the thing that we're using for a lot of the biology stuff. So I think there's going to be a tremendous amount of model innovation. And all of these will be available to you like any large language model as well. And so science, and in fact, I know in India now we have sort of some of the core tech companies that are coming up in all of these fields. And so it'll be exciting to see what all you can do in accelerating science. Of course, when you think about the stack, the data layer, right, with models is fantastic. You have the infrastructure, you have the models, but the next layer is data. Everything about the data layer has to be rethought, where there is not only the traditional stuff, right? You run SQL queries, you can run Spark, but you're also going to run these large language models on top of that same data. So that means thinking about whether it's a vector indices or what have you built into your databases. That's what we've done, whether it's in Postgres, whether it's in SQL or in Cosmos DB. We have Azure Search, which is what is, in fact, the retrieval inside of ChatGPT is powered by Azure Search. So all of these are, again, Azure services that you can use inside of your applications whenever you need an embedded vector space. So that's sort of one side of it. The other thing that I'm very excited about is Fabric, right? One of the ideas we always had was, how do we change or disaggregate what is considered a database today? So there is the OneLake storage system. There is a computational system, which, by the way, you can have SQL, Spark, or Azure OpenAI. All three are just compute jobs. And then you have a business model. As a developer building an application, I can sort of mix match whatever compute on top of all of this on one reserved instance, if you will. And so I think this is going to have a profound impact on how we think about even the data layer in conjunction with the rest of the application. So that's another one. And of course, the next up is the tool chain. As I said, we're a developer company, we're a tools company, and we're building out the tools, whether it's GitHub, VS Code on one side, whether it's the low-code, no-code tools with Power Platform, bringing it all together with Azure OpenAI, or Azure AI as a tool chain, which has access to all these models, and AI ops being built in, and so on. So it's definitely the tool chain focus is a big, big deal for us, and you have now the access to it. And, it is fantastic. I had a chance to meet a bunch of developers who went through, 100,000 of them who went through this Odyssey initiative. So congratulations. It's great to see all of you picking up new skills because that's the currency today of being able to take your AI skills and then convert it into projects that you're doing, whether it's in school, whether it's at work, whether it's in a nonprofit. I think that's the impact that I'm really looking forward to seeing in the years to come. And again, in terms of the applications being built, they're built. I had a chance even yesterday in Mumbai to see some of these demos of what Air India built in terms of an agent. It was very, very cool. In fact, it's one of the best agents I've seen in terms of being able to not just get all of the travel planning done, but to take action right there. And so it's sort of tools use inside of a bot is what they're doing. It's great. Arvind, which is one of the oldest companies in India, is, think about the rate of diffusion. So software developers working in that company were able to sort of build a contract management system for their legal department. But more interestingly, one of the things in this age is that it's no longer about just information at your fingertips, but it's expertise at your fingertips. So it's not just the legal department that now has a bot or it has a co-pilot for being able to make sense of contracts, but anybody in the company, especially in the commercial side of the organization, can also use these co-pilots to make sense of contracts, right? So that's the type of workflow change that I think one can expect. Jugalbandi, this is the thing that really floored me the last time I was in India. It was fantastic to see the progress they're making. Again, Microsoft Research, along with the Jugalbandi team, built a low-code, no-code tool so that any non-profit organization can start using these LLMs to build new tools. And I think there's a video, this is the ambient of what you can do in terms of building out these tools. It's fantastic to see the non-profit organizations embracing it. And I also had this morning the chance to see Siksha, which is being built out by, and again, a nonprofit organization right here. And the beauty of their approach is everybody talks about students. We know that. I think one of the dreams of being able to deliver personalized tutoring to every student in the world is absolutely something that we can do. But one of the things that I always think about is really empowering teachers, because at the end of the day, if we can put tools in the hands of teachers, they have the ability, quite frankly, to inspire more students than any AI can. And so to me, really having Siksha really be that tool that allows teachers to be able to do their job more effectively. So let's roll the video.
Sikshana Foundation started as an NGO that's focused on the education sector. We are working in 6 states across India in about 50,000 schools, impacting nearly 3 million students.
The public school system in India has been severely stressed. We found that typically a teacher handles multi-grade, multi-subjects, especially in the rural areas of the country. The biggest challenge was creating lesson plans.
Preparing those lesson plans, it was taking a lot of time because everything was manual. We were writing and writing and writing.
And that's where I felt technology can help.
Shiksha Copilot is a generative AI solution where we want to empower teachers to create engaging content for their classroom. These teachers are able to generate lesson plans. They're taking the activities that are generated and they're using all of this content in the classroom.
Within 5 minutes or 2 to 3 minutes, I'm preparing the lesson plans.
It's very essential that any solution we roll out supports the local language.
ಟೀಚರ್ಗೇನು ಫ್ರೀಡಮ್ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಹೇಗಿತ್ತು ನಾವು ಹಾಗೆ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ಬೇಕಾಯ್ತು. ಆದರೆ ಈಗಿನ ಲೆಸನ್ ಪ್ಲಾನ್ನ ನಮ್ಮ ನೀಡಿಗೆ ತಕ್ಕಂತೆ ನಾವು ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಟೀಚರ್ಗೆ ಫ್ರೀಡಮ್ ಇದೆ.
Shiksha Copilot is based on Azure OpenAI. It's grounded in local context.
ಈ ಮಾಮೂಲಿ ನಾವು ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಯೋಗ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೂ ಶಿಕ್ಷಾ ಕೋಪೈಲಟ್ ಲೆಸನ್ ಪ್ಲಾನಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಆದಂಥ ಹೊಸ ಪ್ರಯೋಗಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಅವ್ರು ತುಂಬ ಒಂದು ಖುಷಿ ಪಡ್ತಾರೆ.
The problems that are faced are pretty much universal. So if we have a solution that works in just one state in India, we think that solution can go global.
To me, when I see that video and when I had a chance this morning to meet them, the thing that sort of really inspires me is that combination of folks coming together, right? Which is Microsoft Research India, a non-profit organization, and the teachers all co-designing it together. I mean, when you have that type of feedback loop creating new products, that's magic. And that, I think, is at the end of the day what we all live for, and it's fantastic to see that. So that brings me to the last imperative, which is, of course, thinking about security and AI safety as first-class part of our project, as opposed to something that we do after. It starts really with security, One of the things when we think about building powerful applications, powerful new models, what have you, you got to have a very robust security architecture, which is zero trust. Everything from the endpoints to identity to your application and infrastructure. And this is a huge, huge focus for us when it comes to really building out our security suite. So we're excited about that. So that's, I would say, the first layer. And it's not just having the products and the security layer, but to be able to have the operational security posture that allows you, right? As I always say, you can't get fit by watching others go to the gym. You got to get up in the morning and go to the gym yourself. And that's what really, I think, security is all about. The other aspect of it is the safeguards to all of your data, because the core asset in many cases is going to be your data. You want to be assured when it comes to whether it's a software developer or an enterprise, our promises are very clear. We're not going to use your AI or rather your data to train any large models. Your data, and your data is your data. Your AI models are protected, again, using that security architecture. And then also copyright. One of the things that we know is that all different countries will all come up with the copyright regime. But we do need an enlightened copyright regime. And in any case, we want to take the risk on behalf of developers and indemnify you so that you can use all of this, because at the end of the day, there is fair use. That's what has helped humanity get ahead with transformative technology. So you can't have an overburdened copyright regime. But at the same time, copyright needs to also be protected, because anybody who is producing content that's copyrightable should be copyrighted. And so the thinking of even training and fair use and then what is copyright protection is all something that I think will all get settled in the years to come. But we definitely want to make sure that it doesn't stall the innovation. The last thing I would also say is that when we talk about AI safety, this is something I wrote a piece in Slate, I think in 2016. And since then, we've taken those principles, translated them into a set of corporate standards and a set of engineering practices, quite frankly. So it's not just a set of slides or a memo, but it's really, at the end of the day, you shift left, have a set of engineering practices that I'll think about AI safety. In fact, when I talk about Azure AI tooling, the most popular services, most important services are all the safety services, right, that we built. We built for Bing, we built for ChatGPT, we built for Copilot, are now available to all of you as developers to be able to use as part of anything that you do in order to have the classifiers in front of your applications and what have you. And then it's not just that, but also being able to do audit, right? So just like anything else, like quality has a test function, what's the audit function on AI safety? So that's, again, an approach that you all inside of your engineering practices can take around AI safety. So these are the three real imperatives, and hopefully that gives you a flavor for what's ahead of us in terms of the opportunity, as well as, I think, the tools, the platforms that we can exploit to build any application that you can dream of. So that's what grounds us. Ultimately, again, I want to end by, where I started, which is our mission to empower every person and every organization in India, starting with you all as developers to do more. And, one of the things that I'm very excited also is to bring one of the initiatives which we've had called Code Without Barriers and expanding to India and really helping 75,000 women developers by 2024. But one of the things is it's not just about skills, right? It's about being able to create economic opportunity for an increasingly skilled workforce. And in that context, I had a chance yesterday to meet the founder of Karya yesterday, along with one of the beneficiaries of what they're doing. It's just tremendous. And again, something that incubated in Microsoft Research. It is awesome for me. It gives me great pride to see work that happened right here in Bangalore in Microsoft Research now really become the foundation of Karya. And what they're doing is taking AI jobs effectively and part of the AI economy and taking those jobs all the way to rural India. So I want to leave you with that video. Have a fantastic rest of the conference. Thank you very, very much.
India has 22 official languages, and Marathi is actually a language that is spoken by millions and millions of people. But unfortunately, many Indian languages are under-resourced.
We cannot let language be the thing that does not allow you to use technology.
AI is a transformative technology. People deserve to have access to these amazing technologies in their language. Karya exists to accelerate social mobility in rural India by building AI-based solutions to help our communities. Our workers record sentences in their mother tongue on their smartphones. And for the simple task, we pay them nearly 20 times the Indian minimum wage. And that leads to a data set, so they keep on making royalties every single time those data sets are resold.
I think it is imperative that if we are changing someone's income structure in this way, that we also need to help them understand financial literacy.
आज सगळ्यांना आपल्याला आर्थिक साक्षरता शिकण्यासाठी मी इथे आहे आणि आपण हे कार्या ॲप मधून करणार आहोत.
रमेश आणि कल्पेश हे दोघेही रोजंदारीचे बांधकाम मजूर होते.
मी कधी ऐकलं नव्हतं मी माझा आवाज कधीच ऐकलं नव्हता की त्या कार्याकडनं मला त्या ॲप मुळे माझा आवाज कसा आहे हे मला माहित पडलं आणि त्याच्यामधून शिकायला पण भेटलं बँकिंगचं याचं कर्ज कसं घ्यायचं ती कशी बचत करायची मुलांच्या नावावर एफडी कशा करायच्या हे खूप खूप शिकलो. आम्हाला आता कुणाची गरज नाही की एटीएम मध्ये जायचंय आणि पैसे त्यांनी काढून आणून द्यावेत असं नाही आम्ही स्वतः करू शकतो.
Karya's platform is hosted on Azure. We use Azure Cognitive Services for our own AI-based validation work. And we're also using Azure OpenAI.
मला खूप आनंद वाटतो मला खरंच गर्व वाटतो की माझा आवाज कुठेतरी कोणतरी ऐकणार आहे आणि मी मराठीत बोलले त्याच्यामुळे कोणीतरी शिकणार आहे मला अभिमान वाटतो.
If you can solve it for India, you can solve it for the world.
Please welcome Sandeep Alur, CTO, Microsoft Technology Center, India.
Wonderful. Good morning, everyone. That was such a profound statement in the end. It's great to be here. Are you all pumped up? Yeah? Wonderful. We'll do something very unique this morning. By the way, I have the unique opportunity to host two celebrated leaders from Microsoft. Each of them spent 30 plus years in the industry, 30 plus at Microsoft, by the way. They're developers at heart. And I thought, before I welcome them, we'll do a bit of a unique introduction for them. Yeah? Are you with me on this? Okay. So before we get started, quick question. We saw a wonderful demo from Karan. He tells me it's GA, you can use it. How many of you are going to try a multi-language conversation with Copilot today after this? Ask in Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, it's fabulous, right? It's great. I don't know how it looks, but it should be fabulous. So, before we get going the conversation, we've used a term called Copilot all these ways. By the way, who is the pilot? Yeah? Right? Imagine I'm the developer, I'm the pilot, right? So I thought I'll ask my Copilot to give me a nice song, lyrics, for the theme, which is I'm the developer, I'm the pilot. Yeah? But you've got to make sure we never say the statement when the real pilot is there. Yeah? Because we are truly let's do that. So my question to my Copilot is give me that song. Let's see what comes up. Should be very interesting. It uses Suno plugin, by the way. It's there in, Copilot. Isn't that cool? Right? It's a wow thing, right? When I saw that for the first time, it's like, this is really cool. Yeah? There's a verse, there's a chorus. And look, I'm a developer, I'm the pilot in the world of zeros when I'm flying. Hi, it's really, really cool. But there should be music, correct? It's just lyrics. I said, we need a music. I thought we'll bring music and welcome my two guests. Are we ready? And again, this is my request. I'm a local boy. I know how crazy we are as developers in this city. We make loud noise, right? And when the music comes, they're coming on stage, let's give them a Bengaluru welcome. Can you do that? Yes. Okay, wonderful. So when the music begins, let's cheer them up. My first guest, she's CVP for engineering and 32 plus years in Microsoft and one of the most celebrated leaders, and we all look up to her. Put your hands together when the music comes, okay? And welcome Charu Srinivasan. Let's go. Come on, Charu, welcome. Please. It's a, oh, right, that doesn't, Yeah, it's literally, it's magic, right? We all know that fact that this innovation in front of us can see, hear, and speak, and look, this is magical. Now, let's move forward. This is a chorus, right? So now, once again, need your support to welcome my second guest. Again, he has spent 30 plus in Microsoft. He heads Microsoft India Development Center, MD for Microsoft Development Center. Please put them together and welcome Rajiv Kumar. Rajiv, come on over. Rajiv, welcome. Perfect. You guys like the music?
Loved it.
Yeah,
How
awesome.
did you create it?
My co-pilot.
Yes.
Awesome. Let's get started. Now, quickly, by the way, so much is happening. We saw some super cool demos in Satya's keynote as well. Yeah. What inspires you the most when it comes to the current innovation? Charles, let's go with you first.
Great. You already dated me. Started in the company in the early 90s. I've seen 3 of those big paradigm shifts that Satya also talked about. And the latest one, the AI paradigm shift, is just mind-blowing. And to me, I think what's exciting is the rate of diffusion.
Right.
If you just go back and think about the fact that these AI models are now transforming lives of rural Indian farmers and children learning in Indian schools, I think Tuition Anna, we just talked about Tuition Anna and Selvam.ai, it's just mind-blowing the rate of diffusion of this tech. And I've been through multiple of these paradigm shifts in my career, 3 of them precisely, and the 4th one is ongoing. And I really am just amazed at both the pace of innovation. And the other part that's super exciting for me, Sandeep, is the fact that we're in India, all of us. And India's not just, is in many ways, there's really no rate of, there's no delay or impedance mismatch between how India's adopted AI. And so India's actually helping scale AI. And so to me, that really is another pretty fascinating story, and all of you are part of that magic. So I'm super excited to be here and be part of this massive paradigm shift that Microsoft's leading for the world.
Awesome. Rajiv, your point of view?
Well, I think, can you hear me? Okay. I'm today, I think, as excited about the new platform that you heard about as I was 30 years back when I joined Microsoft. When I joined Microsoft, I built the Visual Basic Compiler, and now I build Copilots. And the journey has been just, the excitement is absolutely the same. So, looking good.
Perfect, awesome. So, Rajiv, we'll move to the first theme, which is basically Rajiv and Charu, the power of the current breed of innovation, right? I thought I'd bring in a very short demo, and then we'll pick your brains on how as developers we prepare for that particular stream of innovation, yeah? So, this is a little experiment. I did this over the weekend. You can switch to my slides. By the way, I'm using ChatGPT Plus here, right? How many of you have ChatGPT Plus access here? Just checking. A few of you. That means you can try it out yourself. I said earlier, this innovation can see, hear, and speak. I wanted to experiment, and here my question to the model is, I want to change a bulb, please help me. I'm showing this particular visual here. In a few seconds, it's going to come back and assess the situation, and it'll basically tell me that, you basically have to do counterclockwise to open this particular lampshade. That's what I highlighted right there. And I do that. And I say, counterclockwise worked. Now tell me what next. I need to basically put this bulb. And of course, I didn't upload what I see after I remove the particular lampshade. Now it says, please share me what's inside. I'm going to share the socket visual here. And, as you see there, this innovation is able to see things and tells me that, it's basically a standard screw-based helps here, right? And I need to know that. Okay, now I have 2 bulbs. Which one should I basically put here, right? Interestingly, right, it's by the way, one conversation here, I didn't even do anything else. It tells me one on the right.
Yeah, that's
Isn't that cool? Yeah, this is the power of magic, so, right? So, yeah, hats off to people who build this, right? Now, with this context, right, so now, Charut, question to you, developers here, when it comes to building applications, always been API-first approach. We're shifting towards AI-first approach.
Right.
So do you think it's time for our developers to reimagine how you build application with AI infusion?
Absolutely. And I think an AI-first application is something where you don't think of AI as an afterthought. You build it into the core of your application. And the way you do that is you really start thinking about certain things from a very fundamental perspective.
Right.
And I think Satya did amazing justice to this topic in the keynote, and the entire kind of tool set that the developers use is going to have to fundamentally shift. And if there's one takeaway I'd like you folks to walk back with is that really go back and think about your data and information architecture, because that is, at the end of the day, the currency on which the AI operates. So Satya talked about the One Lake, the Microsoft Fabric One Lake, really thinking about how do you bring unstructured data, structured data, and you bring real-time data into like a One Lake type architecture, so then you kind of build models. And how many of the folks in the audience are developers? Hands, if you can raise your hands. What about data scientists? Yeah, I definitely see that. So interestingly, this world is going to massively shift the way developers think about their jobs. We heard about the massive productivity increases. In one study, we found out that with AI pair programming, you were nearly 55% faster to kind of spit out a JavaScript kind of application.
Right.
So Sandeep, I really think at the core of this is that productivity gain, right? For developers, it would be about completing code, about unit testing, automation, and we're seeing massive shifts at Microsoft. My own team is beginning to adopt this at a pretty rapid scale, and we're seeing that massive productivity gain. But for the data scientists out there, the models that you create, the way you're able to build those models and test those models and kind of put them out there, I really think there are massive, again, platform capabilities. So the Azure AI Studio, as an example, you can there's models as a service. So this, I think, really rich capabilities in the underlying platform. And when I reflect on like how we used to do work in the API first world versus how you're going to write code in the AI first world, I think there is a reinvention. And I would say developers definitely see that. So interestingly, this world is going to massively shift the way developers think about their jobs. We heard about the massive productivity increases. In one study, we found out that with AI pair programming, you were nearly 55% faster to kind of spit out a JavaScript kind of application.
Right.
So Sandeep, I really think at the core of this is that productivity gain, right? For developers, it would be about completing code, about unit testing, automation, and we're seeing massive shifts at Microsoft. My own team is beginning to adopt this at a pretty rapid scale, and we're seeing that massive productivity gain. But for the data scientists out there, the models that you create, the way you're able to build those models and test those models and kind of put them out there, I really think there are massive, again, platform capabilities. So the Azure AI Studio, as an example, you can there's models as a service. So this, I think, really rich capabilities in the underlying platform. And when I reflect on like how we used to do work in the API first world versus how you're going to write code in the AI first world, I think there is a reinvention. And I would say developers and data scientists, I think, leveraging both your strengths, right? I think it's really going to be the nexus of these two communities coming together to create these very intelligent applications. So I really want to talk about that. And Microsoft has led this AI innovation with a lot of responsibility and creating a lot of trust with our customers. So deeply thinking about your AI models, thinking about responsible AI principles.
Right.
How do you build inclusion, fairness, privacy, trust, and thinking about all this in a very fundamental way. So it's not an afterthought. An AI-first application cannot be built as an afterthought. It has to be built into the core of how developers build their applications. So
wonderful
there you go.
thought, Charu. In
Thanks.
fact, for security, we always said shift left. I think it should happen for AI also going forward. Rajiv, coming to you, we're literally swimming in this world of LLMs right now.
Yeah, exactly.
SLMs, LLMs, and you know what's going to come in the future. In fact, Satya had a wonderful slide where you had all the models, including Phi 2, which is the latest one, right? Do you think for developers to succeed in the current times, there's a need for a unified platform? I think that's central.
No, I think
so you're right.
Yeah, look, I'll start by saying, look, last year was the year of AI. This is the year where applied AI is going to go at scale. And at that scale, you are at the center of that scale that needs to happen across the world. Now, the question is, how do you build those? Copilot is the best way to approach building an AI application. Now, what does it take? It is a massive stack that Microsoft has enabled you, right from infrastructure layer to the models to the app layer. Let me just give you a little bit detail. What does it take as you build this application? Because those are the elements that will help you build the best AI application. At the bottom is the infrastructure layer. Satya talked about, we really have sourced the best GPUs, the most GPUs from NVIDIA, AMD. We build our own GPU, Maya. That is the infrastructure. Microsoft has the world's largest AI training and inferencing platform, actually. So that's the beginning. Then on top is the models. These models, like, of course, the OpenAI model. Then is Mistral, all of the Hugging Face model, Llama, you name it. We bring it to you as a model, as a service. So when you build your application, if you want to change the model for cost reason or performance reason, from client to the service or to the server, you can change it without changing the code. That's the second layer. The third layer is basically the tool chain that you use. Microsoft has built the tool chain right from GitHub Copilot, that was demoed. Then we have the Copilot Studio, Azure AI Studio. You have all the tools to build from low code to no code and build the AI applications. But then on top, you have to leverage the data. And we have the infrastructure and the OS, which is for doing RAG, for example, vector search, right? So that is there. But on top of that is the data that you bring. That data is your data. But you have to actually, what we provide is first of all, data, we provide RAI. We provide you with security, compliance, privacy, all those things, all built on this compute, which is the confidential compute. So that right from the compute to your data is ensured that it is within your control, within your premises, right? Perfect. Your data is your data. We don't use it. We don't let anybody else use your data. And that is very important. So that, I think, is the stack that you can use to build world's best AI on Azure. Perfect. So I'll stop there.
Rajiv, this is a very interesting initiative launched in India and Asia to really help us bring more diversity and inclusion into our communities. So Code Without Barriers, for instance, addresses nearly 75,000 female developers in these communities across 50 plus open source communities, 30 plus women in tech communities. Right. So we're very happy with that, and I think a lot of skilling, reskilling to your point, right? I think we're very excited about that.
Wonderful. Rajiv, tool is a .NET moment, right? Yeah. So your thoughts on that?
I know we are running out of time, but I'll tell you as a developer, I'll get to the chase of it. The way you write code is going to be different. The way you approach is going to be different. It's no longer a linear set of code that you write. Because remember what Satya talked about. This new platform has two most incredible things. One is the way you interact is all natural language. It's about voice, text, video, image. The second is the reasoning engine. So it's not about writing code to get something out, but really you have to figure out a way to prompt this computer, which is the reasoning engine, to get the right response to solve your problem. So the way you approach is going to change. I feel the two things that are going to be true is, one, every existing application has to be reimagined on this new platform. Anything you're doing, are you using AI? You should ask that. Right. Second, new application will get built on this platform that was not at all possible ever before. Yes. Okay, now, in the end, because you're a developer, many people worry about, will AI take your job? Let me tell you the answer to that.
No, they're the pilot.
Developers who use AI are going to replace developers who don't use the power of AI. Yes. That's your message.
Awesome. Awesome. Rajiv, Charu, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Give it up once again for Rajiv and Charu, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much. Thank you, folks.
Awesome.
Best wishes.
Perfect. So with that, we will basically disperse from here. But before you do that, quickly, are you all pumped up again in terms of learning? Learning is primary. All of you here for learning. If I were you, I would do this, right? There is a connection hub outside. Spend some time there. Understand solutions people have built. How can technology make a difference in society? And of course, choose your breakout slots, right? End of the day, you've basically chosen a stream to walk path in terms of, you know what, I love AI, but I love this part of AI, so let me choose specific streams. So I would urge each of you to look at the agenda once again, look at what sessions interest most and spend time there, right? I think by end of the day today, I can assure you that each one of you will walk with immense knowledge, right? As Microsoft, I've seen these events happen year on year, but this time I can tell you, with AI, we have some of the best speakers who are there in this venue. Their intent is to educate all of us. Yeah. With that, thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and have fun programming, have fun coding. Bye bye.
Please enjoy your coffee break at the poolside